안녕하세요. 반갑습니다. That means hello. Glad to see you, all of you. You just heard that this is 산유화. That means the wildflower in mountains. So actually, we're talking about the mountain. In Korea, now it's divided in North Korea and South Korea, has about almost 70% of their land is mountains. So you can see that everywhere. When you stop there, landed there, you can see everywhere the mountains. So the very common subject, the song, the mountain, it is very popular in Korea because you can see everywhere. So they're regular kind of exercise. They don't need to go to some gym because there's mountains. They just climb him up and down, and there's exercising. Yes. So we are going to talk about a little bit about the Korea. So Jessica.
안녕하세요. Can you say 안녕? 하세요. 안녕하세요. Jessica Schwefel입니다. My name is Jessica Schwefel. This is Youngjoo and Susan Geddert at the piano. We are all actually alumni of UW Madison, so we're really proud to be here today. Thank you so much for having us. Korea, do you know where it is? I think a number of you do, but just in case there's some people that do not know where it is, it's on the east coast of China, and it's a peninsula that is surrounded by water, and just to the south is Japan. So we're situated between China and Japan. And the Korean peninsula is about the size of the state of Wisconsin. So if you think about a small country that's been split in two, and also just knowing the population, think about half of Wisconsin, maybe from Wausau down. It's about, well, the state of Wisconsin is what, like just under 6 million people, I believe? Just under 6 million. But if you think of Korea, with all 70% of the land is mountains. And if you think about that, take Wausau down, half of the state, and the population of Korea is over 51 million people. So it's much more populated, it's a small country, and we're just so excited to talk to you about some of the songs and aspects of the culture of the Korean peninsula. Did you want to introduce your next song?
My next song is Bori Bat. Bori means barley, and bat is field. So I'm singing about the barley field. Thank you.
Saetaryeong
Thank you. Thank you for your attentiveness and your appreciation. We really appreciate that. One of the things you might be wondering is how did this very classical Western sound get to Korea? Because Korea itself dates back to 3000 BC. And it has, if you think about how old that is, it's very old, 3000 BC, and it has its very own distinct culture and traditional music. But this sounds very Western and classical, doesn't it? So I just want to give a quick rundown about how Western notation, because this is the same scales and same key signatures and same rhythms that you see in your music when you study in this country, and how it ended up in Korea. So back at the turn of the century, at the early 20th century, yes, 20th century, Christian missionaries were allowed into Korea. And it was through the church that a number of community members or the population was introduced to hymns and songs of religious nature. So people were reading out of hymnals back in the early 20th century. Another way that Koreans were introduced to Western notation and this style of music is that the king at the time had decided to start some military bands. And therefore, a number of people were trained in music theory and to learn on Western instruments through the military. And third, back at the turn of the century, between 1910 and 1944, Korea was actually occupied by Japan. And at that time, Japan had really embraced Western culture, and they were really striving to make changes. And what happened during that time is that Korean composers were also trained in this style and Western notation. So it sounds very much like Western classical music. Now the differences is clearly we're singing in Korean, and actually that didn't happen until after Japanese occupation when they were allowed to set Korean text, because at the time they were only allowed to speak Japanese and set Japanese text and speak Japanese in the schools. So after Japanese occupation, a lot of this music came about. So my first song that I'm singing today is called Gagopa, which literally means I want to go. And it's coming from the standpoint of growing up on the southern coast of Korea and remembering their gohyang, which is their hometown. And it translates into English as nostalgia, because we are remembering our hometown friends, we're remembering the sea in our hometown and how beautiful it looked, and wanting to return home.
내 고향 남쪽
Thank you. The next song is called Saetaryeong, which means bird song. So at some point you will hear me singing various bird songs, such as the seagulls, the owl, the cuckoo, and birds such as that. And it's saying that we're super happy that spring is returning and all the birds are returning to Korea and they're coming back. This is a very happy time. There are definitely some folk rhythms in here. This actually comes from a very old folk tune. Did you want to talk about this?
Yes, that we call the 새마치 장단. The 장단 is a rhythm, the same words in the Korea. And so 새마치 장단 is more like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like a mirror in 3, but the long, short, long, so a little bit different. Can you try? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Yes, that is a very, very typical Korean rhythm. You may hear that rhythm in the Jessica's song. Let's figure out.
And then,
can you all hear me? There we go. So my name is Susan. I'm the pianist, obviously. Are you guys having a good week? Yeah. That's what I like to hear. How many pianists do I have out here? You raise your hand if you're here for piano, or if you play, even if you're not here for piano. Fantastic. I want to tell you just a little bit about what my role is here, because obviously I'm not singing. I don't get to say any of the words or sing any of these beautiful melodies, but the piano has a very, very important role to play. It's way more than just playing a few chords and keeping the rhythm, right? You could probably hear that. So what the piano part does, and this is true of art song going back hundreds of years, back to the tradition in Europe when people had these songs to play at home and use for entertainment because they didn't have TikTok or Netflix, or any of those things that we have now. So a lot of times what the music or what the piano part does is set the scene and help illustrate a lot of the words you're hearing. So even if you can't understand the exact words that are being sung, because I know it's sometimes hard to understand words as they're being sung, especially if it's in a language that maybe you don't speak, you can get a lot of clues just from listening to the piano part. So I wanted to talk about this now because these two songs Jessica's singing for you are really, really good examples of that. So Gagopa, the one she just finished, it's about nostalgia and hometown. And that hometown is right by the ocean, and the poetry is full of words like sea and water and seabirds. And if you heard at the very beginning where my right hand had all those tremolos at the top, that really, to me, sounds like it evokes the image of what water looks like when the sun is shining on it, and when the wind is blowing the waves and sort of making that current happen. In the next song that you're about to hear about the birds, I get to show off a little bit at the beginning, which is very exciting, because there's this introduction. It's a very dramatic introduction, and there's a cadenza that you'll notice right away, but there's this cascade of notes that just goes from the top of the piano almost all the way down. And in my mind, that is what you see when there are flocks of birds flying in the sky and their wings are beating, and you can almost hear them moving in the sky. So there are a lot of examples throughout the program of how the piano part is really illustrating the text or setting the scene. You might hear some really crunchy diminished chords to represent anger. You might hear dance rhythms, whatever. But that's just a really important role that the piano plays. So listen for it.
Yes, I was sing two more songs, and they're all about the flowers. Do you know the peony? It's a beautiful big flower. It is very common in Korea because Korea has a very similar weather like Wisconsin. They have 4 seasons, spring, summer, fall, and winter. And then very similar weather, but there's a little bit longer spring and longer fall. And then there's lots of rain in summer and a little bit humidity than here. So like this time the weather is a summer, and then there are the really lovely peonies in Korea usually the land of the late May. So this first song is Please One More Peonies. this gardener that waiting for the blooming the flowers, especially peony. So she is waiting, or he is waiting for the peony. So that is, they are talking about peony. That's the first song. And the second one is in the clouds of the flower blossoms. That means if you see the lots of flowers are really gathering together, and then it looks like some clouds. So in the middle of that, the flower bloomings, the person think about all the hard time and hardships from the back time, like the winter. It's really cold, and the old time Korea is very poor, so they are not much to eat. So they had a really hard time. So they are all thinking about that, the old winter time, and now is the springs come and all the flowers like clouds and blooming a lot, and then this person really exciting singing about these lovely flowers. Okay.
All right, the next two songs are by a composer by the name of Kim Sun-ee. And on that side of the world, we go by our family name first, or last name first, Kim, and her first name was Sun-ee. So in this country, we might say Sun-ee Kim. She is recognized as Korea's first female composer in this Western notation, in this art song capacity, in classical music. She lived a very fascinating life. She's born into a Japanese occupation and then survived the Korean War. And she ended up studying in the United States, studying composition. She studied at Eastman School of Music. She studied at Florida State University. She also ended up studying in France and Germany as well. And this first song is really intense. I'll just say that first. It's called Jindalle, which translates to Azalea. And what the protagonist or the character is saying is, if you get fed up with me and decide to leave, I will let you go without saying a word. And what I'm going to do is I am going to pick all the azaleas from Yaksan and Yongbyon. And I'm going to pick up an armful, and I'm going to throw down a path of azaleas for you, and I'm going to let you walk right out of here. And then she goes on to say, if you decide that you need to leave, I would rather soon die than show you my tears. So again, very intense. And then we're going to go, the second song is called Four-Leaf Clover. So it's a very much a quick change in terms of emotion and message. And this was actually Kim Sun-ee's first composition. She was a piano student at Ewha University, and she wrote this in one night and decided, hey, maybe I should go into composition. And it's about, and they say that at Ewha University, students used to sit on the field and look for four-leaf clovers on nice days. And the four-leaf clover would bring us love and luck and happiness. And so you'll hear that, especially in the music and in the piano and the lyrics. And so we go from a very intense, I'd rather die than show you my tears, to now this is good luck and fortune.
가시되
Yes, thank you. Our next song we will sing together is a duet, and then the title is a new Arirang. The name in Korean is Shin Arirang. So I really want to talk about what Arirang means. Actually, there are many discussions about Arirang. What's Arirang? Actually, in Korea, there are many different Arirang in different regions. North Korea and the different place, there's their own Arirang, and of course, South Korea. So they think about maybe it's not the mountain, it's not the field. And somebody just researched it, and they think about the Ari means beautiful. So maybe the Arirang is beautiful something. So we don't know exactly. But it's more like an unofficial Korean anthem. You may hear that your choir teacher will teach you the Arirang, but this is a little bit changed because it's a new Arirang. And then we did the Arirang, and I want to talk about our clothes. So this is a Korean traditional clothes. It's called Hanbok. Could you say Hanbok? Yeah, Han means in Hanguk is actually Korea in their language. Hanguk, Han means big. And the Hanbok is their Korean clothing. Yes. So the upper part, now this is a more, I got this one almost about 20 years ago. So this is old-fashioned style Korean hanbok. And the Jessica's one is more modern style. So if you see the difference, the tie is getting smaller, right? If you see my sleeves, it's more bigger and more fuller, and her sleeve is more tighter. And then my upper one is a little bit shorter. Then she's a little bit longer, right? So, and somebody asked me, what's the color? Actually, in old time, there is a color that has a very special meaning in it. Some very noble, because there is some hierarchy in Korea. The noble people have a very full kinds of dress. And then the color is a difference. Once you're married, you guys use usually red or green. If you're not married, yellow, or most of yellow and pink. So it's more. This one is more young style. This is more old style, because I'm older than Jessica. So you may see that the difference change in the hanbok, but this is hanbok. So this is Korean costume, and then if you might see this one, and then you say, oh, that's Korean traditional costume hanbok. So yes, please enjoy our duet, Shin Arirang. Do you want to say it?
Yeah, and this is our last song, so thank you so much for having us today, and we really appreciate your attentiveness and appreciation for this music.
Yeah, after the song, if you have any questions, just think about it. If you have any questions, yes.
We have a couple minutes if anyone has any questions. Does anyone have any questions for us? Yes. The question was, how long have we been doing this? I would say this is our second year singing together, and we've performed kind of all around the Madison area.
Youngjoo's been doing this her whole life.
Yes, yes.
And I've been doing these songs with her for 10 years, 12 years. So.
Right, yes.
When did you guys start having the idea to work and sing together?
That's a really good question. Thank you for asking that. The question was, The question was, how did we come together? How did we decide to come together? I am a Korean adoptee, which means that I came to this country as a 9-month-old baby, and I was raised by like German, Dutch Americans. And so I have been singing for a very long time, and I've sung in Spanish, French, German, Italian, Russian, and it was like I turned 40, and then I was like, wait a minute, I've never sung in Korean before. And so I decided, there's a whole wealth of Korean music out there. And so I decided to reach out, and I found Youngjoo. And she was so generous with her time, and she coached me and helped me learn Korean and the alphabet and introduced me to this wonderful repertoire. And Susan has been doing this with her for quite some time, so
I'm just a groupie.
Yeah, we just came together. I believe we have time for one more question. Yes, right there. So the question was, what is the language, and do I speak Korean, or do I just sing it? Youngjoo has lived here for 30 years, but she speaks fluent Korean, and that was the language that we were singing in. And I've studied it here and there, and I've learned the alphabet, but I speak some phrases. I love K-dramas, I love K-pop, but I'm definitely not fluent in the language.
But Jessica can read really well because Korean alphabet actually is very simple. The 14 consonants and 10 vowels, and there's more complicated ones. But so if you want to learn, you can about the 1 month you can read the Korean. It's really easy, like alphabet. You can put it together as AH, the R, like that. It is same. So it's easy to learn, read it, but you should memorize the vocabulary. So that's the hard part. But any other ones, it's really scientific, the word and languages, Korean. Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much today.